Welcome to the Valle Podcast, Season 2, Episode number 3. Today, I'm really excited to have our guest. It's a friend that I've had for a long time. We've done a lot of work together. He's a former pitcher from the Los Angeles Dodgers organization. He was also the lead dietary sports nutritionist, I believe, for the University of Rochester for a short period of time. And then he went from there to become the dietitian for the Chicago Cubs organization as a coordinator and dietitian. And then from there, he's now currently working with South Carolina football team as the head of their nutrition department for South Carolina Gamecocks. So Yimy Rodriguez, man, thanks for being with me.
Yeah, man, glad to be here. Excited to see you and just spend some time. Man.
I was when I was prepping for this, I was thinking about obviously when we first met. You were playing minor leagues with the Dodgers. Yep. Do you remember kind of that first time?
Yeah, man. You know, the first time, playing. I actually contacted your dad when I was done playing, because when I retired in 2013, it was kind of like the way it happened. Disappointed about the way, and we can expand on that, the way it happened. And I was like, I didn't want to play baseball. I didn't want to be around baseball. So I actually took like a year to figure out, okay, going back to school, figuring out plan B, right? Because I had an agent at the time. I didn't want to play in Korea or Taiwan. I had some opportunities to go play overseas. And I'm like, I can't do that. Yeah. I was just disappointed about the game. And I contacted your dad through, you remember Coach Ruggieri from Arcadia?
Yeah, Arcadia.
I called him because I was back in town. I'm like, hey, man, I want to get into, after that year went by, and I'm like, you know what, let me use my experience to do something with it. And I ended up actually missing baseball. I'm like, I want to do a little bit of coaching to give it a shot. And he gave me your dad's number, and that's how it all began.
I feel like I remember you actually training, though, at our facility on Ridge Road. Because I remember, this is one thing I remember, because I know happened.
Scared there was a couple times, I came by,
and I had to catch you, which obviously I'm not a catcher.
I did forget about that.
So I think you came in
that
when
was
you were still
off
playing.
Season. That was my second off season.
That's right. You were still playing.
That was my second off season. Yep.
You came in. That was kind of the first interaction I think we had.
But I don't think I met your dad at the time. It was just like kind of like, hey, there's a facility there. You can use it. Yeah.
And then like I remember, because one thing I remember we did. There's that program again. I don't even know if the program exists anymore, but it was called Right View Pro, where I took video of you pitching. And remember, we were overlaying your changeup with fastball, and we were trying to look at your arm slot and seeing if we had the same release point with your off-speed pitches versus with your fastball. I remember you were still kind of in that training mode.
Yeah, I was in that. You're right. I did forget about that. I went ahead on that one.
But actually, you bring up a good point. There was this gap where after, right? So you came by, you did a little training there. Yep. We did some things, and then.
You still have that video? You still have the video?
I might somewhere.
That would be cool if you can pull that up.
Then there was a gap where we didn't see you or hear from you, and I think it was because of what you were just touching on. There was a point of time in your life where you really didn't want to do anything with baseball, right? No. Can you unpack that? Because I feel like that's a very common thing. Can you kind of unpack that a little bit?
Yeah, man. I mean, it's so the way it happened. I mean, I had some some arm issues, and I tell people, it wasn't Tommy John or anything like that. It was like some form of tendonitis. They went in and they removed some cartilage, and it was at the time when the Dodgers were being sold to Magic Johnson and that group.
Oh, really?
It was at that time. And so it happened, and at the time, you're 24 years old, and a lot, this will be good for, young guys that are trying to get in the game, and this is how the business works. 24, soon to be 25. I'm not knocking at the major league door yet. Play single A ball. Decent season, 93, 94, 95. Nasty changeup, as you remember. Had some arm issues, and like I said, not knocking at the major league door yet. You're not known yet, right? You're another arm, and they're selling the team and cleaning house. And so it just happened very weirdly. And I'm like, just give me a few more months, man.
Yeah.
I gotta, I'll be back to where I was, And I just
Didn't.
it just didn't. I just didn't want my agents like, hey, you got to keep playing. This thing's right now. You don't got a name, but you got talent. You got to keep playing, man. I'm gonna get you. You know, I got a couple contracts in Asia, and you know what, man, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
And I was just so disappointed at the game. I did not watch baseball, not even on TV, for like a whole year.
Wow.
Like I was done.
Done with it.
Done with it.
Would you say it was fair to say that? Was there any depression kind of involved with when the career ended? Would you say?
Yeah, 100%. There is a huge uncertainty, you know, that goes through your head. You're like, you don't know what's going to happen next because that's all you knew, you know. And I'm, you know, originally from Cuba. That's all I knew growing up. Like we played baseball in our neighborhood since I was 5 years old. You know, and that's all you know, man. And obviously, you know, I went through university and I didn't finish at the time because I wanted to pursue the professional career because I was good enough to pursue it. And people were in my head, hey, you're going to, the scouts and all that. You know what? I'm not going to finish school now. I don't want to waste time. So I would, you know, do the extra work. And I had a huge work ethic. When it came to, I was at the gym. I was, you know, doing, you know, extra running, extra practices, extra drills. And I sacrificed a lot of my time, fun times in college to be able to become, you know, better. So.
What advice would you give someone? Because again, like I said, I think it's really common, and even just over the course of this podcast of different guests we've had on, honestly, it's a common theme of when careers end, the mental toll it takes on people, right? Yeah. Because a lot of our identity is wrapped up in the thing that we do, right? Mm-hmm. Like, what advice would you give, maybe for someone who's going through it, or it's going to reach all of us at some point in time. Yeah. Eventually, it's going to be over for everyone, right? So if they're not there yet, they'll probably be there. So, exactly. Like, what advice, now looking back on it, would you maybe give someone who might be going through it or is going to go through it?
I think what helped me was a good support system. Like, you know, our parents were there. You know, your parents, your closest family members, supporting you. I think if you have that, I had that, pushing me along. Hey, that's fine. Let's figure out plan B. Let's, you know, we're here to support you. We're here to help you. I think having that support network where you're able to talk to people, it doesn't have to be, you know, your parents. It could be, you know, your brothers, sisters, really good friends of yours that you keep around, really expressing yourself to them, how you feel and what you want to do, so that way they maybe give you some light. I think that's what I would suggest. If you're going through something like that, I would say have a network of people that you can trust so that you can vent, talk,
be honest,
and really just you don't dig yourself any deeper in those thoughts.
Yeah, for real. Because it's real. I mean, it's a real thing, you know. You dedicate your whole life to something. And when it's time to hang them up or it's taken away from an injury, feel like it's not, you know, on your own ability. It's like, man, I didn't even have a chance to really show what I could do because of an injury. And that happens all the time. It's not just you. That's to a bunch of people, right? It could be really challenging. You just touched on it, but you did not grow up in the U.S. You grew up in Cuba. Right. Yep. Until what age were you
16,
in Cuba?
16. Came to, Greece Arcadia when I was a junior. Beginning of the junior year.
What was it like growing up in Cuba, just in general? And not just necessarily baseball, but just in general. Yeah,
I mean, it was, you know, obviously there's some scarcity of things, you know, like you grow up kind of what's considered now poor, but I didn't lack any love from my family. You know, I wasn't hungry. I didn't go to bed hungry or anything like that. So we had the essentials. Mm-hmm. But again, you're a kid, you're a teenager, so you don't really see. Now that I reflect and I listen to my parents talking about their experience, it's different. But at the time, I was just having fun, man. You know what I mean? And I had a blast growing up. I mean, we had so much freedom, so little restriction on everything now. With the technology, iPads, kids are on iPads all the time, and Instagram and TikTok and all that, which could be fun too. But I don't know. I was fortunate enough to live in a country that didn't have I didn't grow up with Nintendo. or PlayStation 1 or anything like that. You know, it was let's go play ball. And so it was fun, man. I would say it was fun growing up in Cuba.
That's
for sure. As a kid.
You know. Right. It's interesting. It's great perspective, right? You know, because you hear all the negative, but to take that perspective of you didn't have some of the things, and that was almost a positive, right? That you didn't have access to some of those things. I remember years ago, you and I were talking, and you were telling me, I was amazed by. Can you tell me about like how real estate works in Cuba? Because if I remember correctly, it was kind of wild. Like if I can't just go put up my house on the market to be sold and then go buy another house that I like, right? Now, how does that work?
It's unbelievable, and I tell people stories about Cuba and how the system works there, and just people look at me and they scratch their heads because like I just can't.
You can't even fathom.
I can't. Yeah, I just can't interpret. I can't internalize that. So the way it works is if you want to move somewhere, let's say you want to move completely. Let's say you want to move to South Carolina, right?
Yep.
You put your house to sell here, and then you buy another one there. You don't do that. You find someone. You put your house on a list of people that are also looking for houses here, and then people that want to move, let's say from South Carolina to here, and people that want to move from here to South Carolina. Now you're joined in that list of like, okay, here are. And then you communicate back and forth with those owners. They come see your house. You come see their house. Okay, we like it. Let's exchange. You exchange papers, and that's it.
An exchange.
You do an exchange. You don't buy or sell.
So
it just doesn't make sense. I wish I could explain it differently, but that's how it is.
There's no like, hey, I want to get a. It would be hard to exchange with someone with a bigger
buy
house.
land and
or
to construct
I want
a house,
right? Because it's like if I have to exchange with you, you'd be exchanging to a smaller house,
exactly,
right?
And so people are like, "Oh, no, it doesn't work for me."
Wow,
and that's just how, and it's been like that since Fidel Castro took over and nationalized the whole country, where everything is subsidized by the government, everything goes through the government, every single policy goes through the government, so the government dictates. You know, what can you own and what can you not? It's
even eating, right? Because didn't you? I remember you telling me about like a steak. If I want to, like, if I was visiting Cuba, we could probably
as
go
a tourist.
As a tourist,
you can go to the hotels and order steak. But as a Cuban citizen, beef was illegal because cattle. There wasn't a whole lot of cattle in numbers in Cuba, so they had to reserve it for the tourists, for the Russian, the Canadians, the people that came over, and so it was illegal. Not only buy a cow and grow it yourself. I mean, you can't do that. So cows were, it just sounds so crazy, right? To just even speak about this stuff because I'm listening to myself and I'm like, wow, how is that legal? How is that? Where's the human rights in that? Right. But anyways, it's just very, very restrictive because everything is People got if they catch you with some sort of like beef in your house that you were cooking, somebody would snitch on you. You can go to jail for that. Yes, unbelievable. Same thing with lobster. You can't eat lobster and steak. Yeah, man.
Really?
It's illegal.
And it was there in Cuba. You just the citizens couldn't have it.
The citizens couldn't have it because it was reserved for the tourists. Wow. Isn't that wild?
That is insane. It's absolutely insane.
So yeah, that's what socialism and communism does, man. Wow, that's basically what it is.
But it's kind of cool to hear that like your parents essentially protected you from all that, and not basically you didn't even think about that stuff growing up because your parents were loving you and protecting you from kind of all those things.
I know these things now,
right? But as I
reflect about
you had no idea, you weren't even thinking about anything like that. What?
I was just playing ball, man.
Your parents were putting food on the table. Do you talk to them about that now, as far as like
all the time,
like the struggles that maybe they went through?
Yep.
To give you a childhood like that.
Yeah, man, all the time, and that's why I'm grateful, and that's why I go back to like your question about what would you recommend somebody that's going through some sort of like a depressive state. You gotta have a network of people that love you, and that care for you because they're the ones that are gonna, take you out of the hole,
What was the baseball world like in Cuba growing up, like the youth baseball? Like, was it just going out and just playing ball? Was it like,
It was structured.
Travel ball structure. I mean, like, what did that look like?
There's no travel ball, obviously.
Right.
You would have to be in the Cuban team, the youth Cuban team, like 13U, 14U, 15U, which I was part of growing up, and that was structured. You would go to other states and play with a different city team and whatnot, but it was not private. It was, you wore your Cuban jersey, Cuba, like you're representing Cuba. You're not representing, Valle or anything like that. And so it's very structured once, you show that you have, a skill set. But you start very early. It's even from PE class. So PE class in Cuba is mandatory. And it's an hour and a half every single day since you're in the first grade. So from there on, they start pre-selecting athletes.
From PE?
So it's like from PE.
No way.
Yeah, dude, it's insane. Now I look back. Now I understand this because I'm in the world of sports, and I have the background now in training, nutrition, and all that. And now I'm like looking back. I'm like, wow, they were recruiting athletes from PE classes because now they're
first, second grade.
From second grade on, so they took PE very, very seriously. Not only in the like strength and conditioning type of methods of they teach you how to clean, they teach you how to snatch, they teach you since you're at second grade, obviously without weights, but the forms. Not only that, like plyometrics, box jumps, single leg jumps, all that. I was doing that since I was 8 years old. And from there, they start pre-selecting you to different sports. And they're like, you're going to be better at overhead sport. You're going to be better at volleyball. You're going to be better at track and field. You're going to be better. Dude, the PE coaches in Cuba are legit. Like, they go to school, they go to universities to study how the human body works. And so from there, they send you to schools that, like high schools in Cuba, they have sports high schools only. And you would go to these schools to practice your sport in the morning and then go to class in the evening. And then you have regular schools for people that are they don't have a skill set naturally. It's unbelievable, man.
Wow. So
it's unbelievable.
Okay, so you're second grader, and you're showing some potential in basketball, right? Mm-hmm. But you love baseball. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. You're not playing basketball. You're not playing basketball. And another thing they do is through something that's it's like anthropometric is basically a way of measuring your limbs. Anthropometric is like a vague term from measuring your body composition and all that. But they use a technique that allows them to project if you're going to be tall, if you're going to be muscular, if you're going to be kind of on the heavier side because of your genetics. That's called somatotyping. It's a real thing. I'm actually certified in
really?
That.
Could be pretty accurate.
Yeah, it's very accurate. It's the most. It's called ISAC. The definition of it, anthropometric. So the whole abbreviation of it. You can look it up. ISAC. It's been around for a while, and now they did a study on why Cuba wins gold medals every Olympic. They looked at it and they came up with the solution basically on how they select and scout players and how they position them to be successful through this testings that they do. I mean, they did it to me. And
at what age did they do it to you?
Every year. Second grade, third grade, fourth grade. Yeah, just to see how. And Cuba and Australia, if you look it up, per capita, they win the most gold medals. Per capita.
Whoa.
And Cuba is like second. Australia is number one. Cuba, an island of 9 million people. Per capita. And they're looking at this and like, they got to be doing something different. And that's what they do. It's like, it's kind of like, if you think of ethics and whatnot, but they pre-select you based on, very serious PE training. and also all these measurements that you can do to project somebody's bone density. Because based on your bone density, you'll be able to sustain more muscle mass, right? And bone density is a genetic thing, you know. And so the width of your your hips and shoulders, your circumference around your knees, your ankles, all that you put into a formula, and it projects stuff like that.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible. Now you're certified in that?
ISAC, yep.
ISAC,
yep.
So how much do you utilize that, like now or currently?
I utilize it a lot. I utilize it along with something called DEXA. DEXA is like a bone density, measures fat-free mass, bone density, fat mass, and all that. And then I also do the ISAC to, check somebody's capacity, muscle capacity.
Do you ever see any outliers? Is it always spot on, or are there any exceptions to the rule?
Not really. I mean, it's once you get your bone density, that's it. It's a mathematical equation that this is how much muscle you can put on. That's it. There's no, it's not like precise,
right.
but it's always, but yeah, you do that just to help project and to help a player develop, where you're like, oh, he can be, let's say a coach, wants you to put on, 25 pounds. Well, let me assess the player first before we start pushing the player to a boundary that he's genetically not meant to be put on 25 pounds of muscle, right? We always want to develop athletes to maximize their muscle potential. Because anybody can gain 25 pounds. Right. See pizza and burgers and fries, and you'll gain 25 pounds of fat.
Right.
But if you want to maximize your potential of muscle, there is a genetic cap, and it has to do with your bone density, your bone length, and that's just a fact.
Would you say that's the bone density is the biggest? If you had to narrow down the biggest indicator, or for gaining muscle mass, would you say it would be the bone density?
Yeah, bone density. Yeah, depending on your age too, because if you're 14, your bone density always climbs a little bit, especially if you're in strength and conditioning, you're lifting you're doing compound exercises, bearing high impact exercises.
Yeah.
Your bone density,
so there's still a cap on it.
There is a cap, and that's why you got to look at the length of bones, and that aspect of it too.
That's amazing. So
yeah, you can go down a rabbit hole with
that. The coaching in Cuba, especially at the youth level, and it was well advanced of the coaching here in the U.S. at the youth level. I think it's safe. It's a safe assumption. Would you
100%. Like the coaches that I had, I mean, they were. You had to be a former player. You couldn't coach if you were not a former player. That's can't do it. This is in Cuba,
right?
So because you got to show that you were able to do it. Now, it doesn't mean you have to be a Hall of Famer. No, but did you play?
Right.
You're not an arts teacher. Like you played at a high level, college, professional, even better. But then these coaches, they have to go to school and get a degree in coaching, and I believe some form of biomechanics or something along the lines of that, like some sort of like exercise science, but coaching degree and a background in human movement, exercise science.
Right.
That's PE coaches and your regular baseball coaches.
Wow. So you wasn't just someone like, in the U.S., this is not knocking that. Heck, I did it. But like just start up a travel team and here we go. We'll start coaching guys, right?
No.
Not happening.
Not happening because it's subsidized with the government.
Right,
the government
yeah.
provides the gloves, the stadiums, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, because it's
Cuba's on the chest.
Exactly. Right. It's at the end of the day, it's a way for Cuba to exploit citizens for the government to make money. Because they're investing in you now. But wait till you get to the Olympics and win a gold medal and bring back $100,000 bonus, you're gonna probably keep 25. So it's like, it subsidizes free, like education, for example, right? Doctors, your education is free. If you're good enough to be a doctor, you work ethic, and you gotta have some sort of genetic predisposition of being able to memorize things and understand and problem solve things. It's free. Okay, you got good grades, but then when you graduate, one, they don't pay you enough. You're probably not gonna own a car ever. You're gonna go to work on a bus or on a bicycle. So that's a way for you to pay back the school. And when they send you to missions to Venezuela, to Angola, which is Africa, to Iran or whatever, they're gonna sell you as a service. Hey, Cuba says, hey, I'm gonna send you my doctors for oil, for food supplies,
commodity.
Exactly. And so it's free, but really at the end of the day, nothing's free.
You're just an asset for the country.
Yeah, you're just an asset for the country. Exactly. And that's how that system works. Communism, socialism, all that. That's how it works.
So I mean, it's obvious. I think it's obvious that you don't just leave Cuba to come to the U.S. So how did you end up in the U.S.?
Yeah, that's a question everybody asks me. Yeah, I mean, we got out through like a visa lottery program.
What's that?
Visa lottery program was intended for countries that had a political indifferences or like lack human rights. The United States came up with that, right, to help the citizens, because the United States has an embassy in a lot of I think in every country in the world, and so there's an embassy present in Cuba, U.S. So they're able to provide this laws of like, hey, if somebody wants to, basically, I'm accepting Cuban citizens to come to the United States. And the requirement was, the country has lack of human rights. They people don't have freedom of speech. So let's give them some visas. Also, my stepdad, who I called dad at the time, he was also against all that and all the systems. And he had me when I was since I was like 5 years old. So I call him dad here in the United States, but when I go to Cuba, I call my biological dad too. So I have like two dads in two different places. But he was also, not a political prisoner, but he was marked in Cuba as not a good citizen because he was not with.
He wasn't buying in.
He wasn't buying in, and so he was, he was kind of like, I don't know how to explain it. Like he's on a list.
He was trying to eat a steak.
He's on a list. Exactly. You're on a list. When you're against a system like that, you belong to a list. Everywhere you go, your name pops up. You're like, let's not give him the opportunity. Let's not give him this. So he was on the list, and so he applied for this human rights kind of visa. It has an official name, Dave. I don't remember. And then we waited 4 years because it's a lottery system. It's not automatic.
No guarantee you're getting.
No guarantee you're getting it. And he put himself, my mom, myself, and my brother at the time. And 4 years later,
got it.
An envelope arrived, and we went through interviews, and they're like, okay, they're legit. They're not delinquents. They don't have a history of murders or anything like that. Because United States, I don't want to bring people here that are trafficking drugs and all that. So it's a legit system where, the people that come through that, it's like, okay, they are, good citizens.
Yeah.
And that's how we were fortunate enough to get here.
Out of curiosity, even just applying for that, like lottery system, does that put you on a list? Because I'm sure the government knows that you're trying to leave Cuba, right? And so I'm sure they'll love that.
Nope, that puts you on the list.
So it's like once you roll that dice, that's it. That's it. You're just hoping.
Yeah.
Did you have any plans if you didn't get that lottery?
Yeah, I haven't really spoken to my dad about that in detail because I think a lot of these things are a little bit, under the rug, and you don't want to talk too much about it. Yeah. But we really had to. We were going to leave.
Yeah. One way or the other.
One way or the other, he was plan. Okay, if this plan A doesn't work, this is plan B, and it was in the works. That plan B was in the works.
Wow.
And at the time, Cuba, I don't know if it's no longer part of the law, but at the time, the United States created this law that was called, see if I can say it, dry feet law.
Okay.
So a Cuban that touches
the
land here, right?
Then-
Not across an ocean.
yeah.
The Cuban that touches dry land, it's called dry land, dry feet law or
Okay.
something like that. Only for Cubans. They were automatically brought it. Automatically. If you were able to survive that, and you touch dry land, dry feet, you get a residence, you get helped, and that's how a lot of Cubans in Miami
Plan B.
have plan B. Yep. And people are willing to take that risk, man, because it's just it's unbearable once you're in it.
Yeah.
And again, I wasn't in it, right?
Right. Yeah, you didn't experience it, right.
You know, they hid a lot of these things from me, but yeah, man, it's
That's crazy. Let's just.
so to say that we love this country. Well, I would fight for this country right now. If I needed to put an army jacket on, I would put an army jacket right now.
Understandably so.
You know,
Understandably so.
For sure.
Well, perspective does that, doesn't it? Right? For all of it. And that's with a lot of different things in life, right?
Yeah.
If we don't have perspective of what the alternative is, we're short-sighted, right?
Exactly.
So it's not just in that scenario. It could be in a lot of different scenarios, right? But it's always interesting, and and we've talked, obviously just in conversations over dinner about some of this stuff, and it is amazing. It blows my mind, and it's interesting to hear different cultures, different experiences that people have. Again, because I only have the experience that I have, right? And so,
Yeah.
I mean, we had a gentleman on the podcast, Bobby Bonner, a former baseball player, played the Orioles, and he was a missionary to Africa for like 30 years. And so he was sharing some stories about being in the bush of Africa and some of the experiences he had. And that's, again, it's mind blowing. It's like, are we all living in the same world? Like, is this like, it's
a lot out there.
there's so much out there that we, as Americans, we don't understand it. And because we don't understand, a lot of times we don't appreciate, the freedoms that we have just to run a business, and sell gloves for a living and baseball training equipment. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. It really is amazing. So yeah, thanks for sharing that. I'd like to shift a little bit. So you were working at the UFR, leading their kind of sports.
Yeah, orthopedics in the orthopedic department.
Orthopedic department.
I started at the hospital.
Okay.
When I graduated summer 2017, I worked right away for the university. And I was more so doing like clinical work, hospital outpatient units. And then I transfer over to the UFR is huge.
It's massive, yeah.
Transfer over to orthopedics, and that's where I started that gig of leading the nutrition program.
You pretty much started that program.
Fitness science,
You started that, right?
Started that.
Yeah, I mean that was big. Did you work with Cypher over there, Craig Cypher?
Yeah, Craig Cypher.
We had him. We had him on the podcast. He's a great guy.
We're actually trying to bring a sports psychologist over to South Carolina, so I contacted him recently to kind of put some names on the list.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
Yeah.
He's a great guy.
Yep.
He so you're there, and then you get the interview with the Cubs, get the job with the Cubs,
Yep.
right? What was the biggest difference from like kind of working with your everyday, athlete or whatever, to then all of a sudden right away
we have athletes,
working with the best, athletes in the world?
Man, it was honestly, Dave, like I was a little bit nervous, and I felt that was a dream come true. Like for me, that was like, okay, I know I'm going to end up in baseball again.
Yeah.
But I want to do it where I'm supporting athletes from a different side of things, right? Help them with their development, through nutrition, application, and help them out with that, And, man, at the time when I got that job, I was like, oh, that's it. I accomplished, how you have like short-term goals and you have like, man, your dream jobs. And your dream jobs doesn't always come fast.
Yeah.
But for me, it came fast, and I love, I love the experience, with the Cubs. It was unbelievable being there, not as a player, but it's funny because I felt like a player. It brought me back, man. It sustained me. I mean, it was unbelievable, man. Like I thought I had to dress up and go to the, because I was in a complex, in Arizona.
Yeah.
Man, it was cool. It was really, really awesome.
So was the biggest difference just kind of the way you felt kind of with that, or was
it was mostly the way I felt. I felt right at home.
Yeah.
Like I was able to connect with players.
Yeah.
Day one.
Bilingual.
Talk to my Dominicans, the Cubans, the Puerto Ricans, the Venezuelans, the American guys.
Yeah. Connect with everyone at all levels.
Connect with everyone at all levels. So I got to work with major leaguers and minor leaguers at all levels, and it was amazing. But and we can, if you want, we can go into detail on the difference between different nutrition applications. But sports nutrition is very specific, right? Because there's a lot of timing involved. There's a lot of specific protocols, where outpatient nutrition application is more so behavioral change, a lot of psychology involved. Like you're sitting in an office, the patient comes in with high cholesterol, and they tell you, hey, I'm here because my doctor sent me, but I don't want to be here, so I don't know what I'm doing. Right. So there's a lot of psychology, where sports nutrition is very specific. And so I was able to, in orthopedics at the U of R, I was doing that a little bit, but I also was seeing a mix of patients. So it was a mix of like behavioral change and a mix of sports nutrition, change. So with the Cubs, I was able to really dive into what I wanted to do, was apply nutrition in the sports world.
Right.
Versus a hospital, which if you're in a hospital bed and you go see a patient that's sick, that you have to, they have a strict plan and a strict protocol that's similar to sports nutrition, because there's less psychology and behavioral involvement in it. Sports nutrition, there is some of that too, but sports nutrition is very specific.
Yeah.
So there's like 3 phases of nutrition application. It's clinical, outpatient, which is more so behavioral, and you got to deal with this kind of like, traumatized patients and they don't really want to make a change. And then sports nutrition, which kind of gets you into more of that precise application, but now in sports and performance and development. That's right with my, and so it was amazing. So it was an amazing year and a half when I was there. I was there for a year and a half.
Year and a half. What made you make the switch to where you are now from baseball? Because, and this was, when we were doing lessons next to each other, you and I would always talk. You went back to school to become a nutritionist because you were a strength. You had your certifications and all the time in strength first, and then you went back to school. I remember that whole thing. You're going back to school. You were doing work upstairs at the facility half the time, and then. And we always talked about, you said, I want to work for a pro team. I want to work for a pro baseball team. I want to be a nutritionist for a pro baseball team. So you got it.
Yeah, I got it.
Was there a reason why you decided to make the switch?
When you understand, like, it's like anything, right? Your profession. Once you really study a profession and you understand the insides and outs, and you start kind of navigating through what works, what doesn't, where you really have a huge impact. You know what I mean? Like you understand it from a different angle, right? Because you're an expert, right? And as you gain experience, you become an expert in your profession. And the way my brain works is that I always want to be challenged. And I felt like just a few months in baseball, that's it.
Right. And you got
like that's it. Right. I accomplished what I wanted, the dream job.
Right.
But it's not challenging me enough.
Yeah.
All right, so we're continuing our conversation with Yimy. It's a really windy day here in Rochester, New York, and the wind knocked out our power, so our lights went out, and that room is incredibly dark with no lighting, so we moved to a room that has some natural light, and hopefully we can finish the conversation here. But I know you were talking about why you wanted to challenge yourself. That's why you kind of moved from the Cubs organization in baseball. That was probably what was comfortable for you. Yeah. That's what you're used to. Comfort zone, and you wanted to stretch yourself a little bit and move.
That would be a good lesson, I think, for young people, starting in their careers. I think, not being afraid of going outside your comfort zone, right?
Yeah.
And succeed outside your comfort zone, because that any struggle like that, any challenge like that will make you grow. Exponentially.
Absolutely. So. Do you think there's something, or do you think athletes undervalue the importance of the diet and nutrition side of their lifestyle?
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. 9 out of 10 athletes have never heard about, the importance of nutrition in athletics and performance and any of that. So, because there's this the lack of education in high school, middle school regarding that, right? I mean, it's non-existent, and so when they get to me, especially depending on pro level, they get it. At the pro level, they understand and they seek that. Baseball players, they seek me out.
Really?
When I was there, football, the challenge piece of it, right?
Yeah.
They don't want to hear it.
Really?
They don't want to. Now they do, but when I got there, right, they're like, what are we talking about, or this and that, right? They had a lot of resentment or a lot of barriers to, man, let me eat what I want to, that kind of thing, and and that was part of the challenge, because you're trying to, really advocate for the importance of it.
Right.
So it depends on the sport, and it depends on the age and the level.
Yep.
The pro, I would assume NFL players are going to probably take care of that. And
Right.
I want to play more than 2, which is the average of the NFL. Let me take care of my body.
Right.
Let me talk to this guy.
Right. And you hear about these pro athletes that are spending millions of dollars on their diet, right?
Yeah, man.
Right. And so it's funny that like at the younger level, high school kids or whatever, they don't even care.
They don't care.
They don't care.
Now they do. We got a good group of guys.
Yeah.
Now they do.
Right. But even at the high school level, even at the high school level, right? High school player, 14 to 17-year-old kid, they want to play college ball, they want to do this, but they're not thinking about it.
It's the last thing you think about, because it's not instant gratification. It's not an instant feedback, and that's the challenge with nutrition application, is that we right now get on the ground and we do as many push-ups as we can, and then we take our shirts off, and you look at yourself in the mirror and you're like, damn, I'm a little, I got a little, I'm a little swollen, right?
Yeah.
But with nutrition, you eat a decent meal or 3 decent meals a day, balancing, or whatever your goals are. I don't feel any different. You understand what I mean? So the younger you are, the less care you're gonna have in that, because you don't see the result right away.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
is it true that like your diet can affect injury prevention? Could it help with injury prevention?
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Do you have examples of that, maybe a negative thing in your diet that could maybe make you more inclined to get injured? Yeah,
so let's say, if give you a basic example here with, a common 15-year-old diet, right?
Yeah.
Like they eat, for snacks, they eat Doritos or chips. Breakfast, they don't eat any eggs, any yogurt. They might eat some cereal, a little bit of milk. For lunch, they eat chicken tenders and fries and a Coke. And then maybe for dinner, their mom cooked, maybe mashed potatoes and maybe chicken nuggets, because they don't want to eat anything else inside of that. So that whole diet profile right there, it's going to be, one, low in protein, low in what we call amino acid profile, which is, proteins are made out of amino acids. And amino acids are the ones that help rebuild ligaments and tendons and whatnot. So, to give you the more generic answer, it's a lot of kids that age don't eat enough protein, quality proteins. And then outside of that, your diet, that diet that I gave you is high in a lot of fats, which really doesn't give you the benefit of building, strong ligaments and bones and tissues. And it lacks a lot of vitamins and minerals, right? It lacks zinc, it lacks B12, which is important for your DNA and your growth hormone and your recovery hormones and whatnot. And so you add that up and you go, one day you do that, it's not going to affect anything. But, you do that multiple years on years, and you're, not going to reach that potential of having strong bones, strong ligaments, obviously you got to train. Right, sure. Right? That's without a doubt the first thing you got to do.
Well, you mentioned quality protein. Mm-hmm. What's the difference between quality protein and maybe not quality protein, I guess?
I would say you look at the basic ones, right? Eggs, yogurt, milk, good low fat milk if you don't want to consume too much calories from the fat in milk, for example. Chicken nuggets versus boneless chicken thighs that you grill or that you saute. That's the we're talking like a lunch, right? So the chicken nuggets are not going to have, they're going to have a lot more fillers
And I'm using a very extreme example.
Sure.
But it's common, right?
Yes.
They're going to have fillers, fats, and other preservatives and other things that neglects all these other nutrients versus just get 2, chicken boneless thighs, cut them up, salt, pepper, paprika and garlic powder, saute it, and you're good to go.
Yeah.
Or have your mom make that and then make you some nuggets, maybe some breading, and then that. So it's
the process.
Where is a process and where that, how does that protein start? And so you're talking about the general boring foods, and that's the challenge. Is people don't want to eat general, what's always considered normal, which now is considered dieting. It's chicken, beef, fish, eggs, milk, cheese. Those are all pork.
Yeah.
Those are all high-level proteins that are going to give you not only the protein in the macronutrient, because protein is a macronutrient, but it's going to give you the high amino acid profile that you want for your ligaments, bones, tendons that you talked about, injury prevention.
Right.
That's a big one, and there's also other injury preventions too.
Right.
You do, but that's a really big one.
I remember a guy that we know, Bunce, when he was working with Jake Bunce, when he was working with the Phillies and the Reds, I think it was too. He was talking about one of the things they talked about a lot was different cultures have different diets, right? And so some cultures have like really, I think he was saying like high in sodium and like and like muscle. Tweaks or pulling hamstrings. Like it just seemed like it was a very common theme with people who were eating certain diets. So like that is that still true? Would you agree with things like that could have some impact?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, and you don't even have to go like a Japanese culture versus Latin American culture. It's within. I look at it as what kind of culinary culture did you grow up with?
Right.
And you and I living in the States are going to have 2 different culinary cultures within the same country.
That's true.
So it's like
that's true.
It could throw off everything.
Absolutely. Yeah.
There's a lot that goes into
the day that you described was a classic American childhood day, right?
Yeah, Pop-Tarts for breakfast, right?
Yeah.
Have a Pop-Tart, it's really nothing.
How important is hydration for all athletes, but young athletes?
Huge. We're looking a lot on with the muscle injuries, soft tissue injuries. A lot comes down to how well you hydrate too. It depends, and that's the challenge, Dave. When I talk to you about hydration in sports, in football, American football, or soccer, but American football, there's a lot more application of hydration assessment, hydration protocols than it is in baseball.
Yeah.
For example, right? In baseball, I figured out the plan already for the guy. Okay, the catcher, the pitcher are the ones that are going to, be the ones exerting themselves more. But everybody else, you have time. You come to the dugout. You sit. You have time. So that's why I was like, in football, I mean, you don't have a dugout,
right.
and so you got to figure out the plans for the guys and who sweats more, who needs more. And there's a high implication on when you're less than, when you have a negative hydration status, where you're maybe a couple pounds underweight. Let's say yesterday you came in at 200, today you come in at 197. There's a chance you might be dehydrated based on your weight fluctuation. And you go out there and exert yourself, there is a chance that you're going to pull a hamstring. You're gonna have a soft tissue damage. There's research on that.
Wow.
That ties hydration with it.
Are there any practical ways for like coaches? Again, a lot of people that watch this are maybe youth coaches. Are there any practical ways for coaches to tell whether a kid is properly hydrated or not properly hydrated? Because you have access to a lot of these different things that obviously the normal person maybe not have access to. Are there any just like practical ways to kind of keep an eye on that?
The most practical way is weight fluctuations.
Is it?
You buy a $30 scale, and again, I know weight could be, there's a psychological component, right? But it's just the way that you pitch it to the athlete, right? This is about learning how your body reacts to different routines. If you slept 3 hours, your body weight is going to be different the next day. If you skipped dinner, your body weight is going to be different the next day.
Right.
And so learning that as an athlete is a huge tool that is, you have access to scale anywhere. And I think that I would say for the coaches to be careful of how you pitch it, and it has nothing to do with body weight and body composition goals. I would pitch it that way.
Yeah.
Has nothing to do with weight goals. It has to do with how your routine outside our training facility or our field, how is that affecting your body?
Yeah.
And if you got a kid that's consistently, whatever, 200 pounds, and before that game that morning he's at 200, he's hydrated.
Right.
He is, unless we do like a test and all that to really see a pinpoint, but that is, I would say, could now coaches carry a scale? Maybe not, but I would say that's the most practical. Maybe a parent, because you got to understand the symptoms of dehydration. And a lot of kids are not going to be able to interpret that.
Right.
Which is a headache, obviously some sort of, fatigue buildup, you know what I mean? Like you have, like you're just not yourself, you're not thinking, you're not thinking right, you're not as sharp.
Yeah.
And you're not going to trust a kid to tell you that. Hey, how you feel? I feel great, coach.
Right.
Even though he's like.
Right. And then by the time the coach notices something where he's about to faint or he's thrown up on the field, that's way past the moment that he should be at, right?
Most important thing is that, did you eat this morning? Right? No. More than likely he's dehydrated because food, is going to allow you to retain water in your muscles, right? And so not only hydration, because you could also pound a gallon of water, but if you didn't have content with it, and that's where the whole theme of electrolytes come in. It seems like Instagram and TikTok is all about electrolytes and protein nowadays. It's kind of true. If you're going to sweat the next day, the day prior, you should be consuming not only water, but water with electrolytes. If you're not going to sweat the next day, and that's where the Instagram kind of joke comes in, there's no need for electrolytes. Just eat a fruit. Fruit has electrolytes. Drink water. Don't go crazy with the fad, recommendations of electrolytes unless you're going to sweat that day or the next day.
Or the next day.
So the question for a coach to a kid is like, did you eat this morning? Did you have some Gatorade at least? That's the most practical thing, right?
Yep.
Without getting into the weeds on how much electrolytes.
Right.
But I would say those are practical things that they can do.
So what's your opinion of sports drinks? Do you think there's a lot of value in that?
Time and place. For example, these kids that I coach now in football, they grew up drinking Gatorade with every meal. I don't know if you grew up like that too, but it's like Gatorade, they don't see Gatorade as an electrolyte drink. Like they see it as like apple juice.
Right.
And so that's the whole thing. It's like I'm trying to switch them, which now I don't let them drink Gatorade with their meals. It's juice or fruit. That's not what Gatorade only for when you're on there on the field or you're going to train or something like that. So it's a time and a place because again, when you look at Gatorade or some of these drinks, it's just sugar that you're not going to use because you're not going to run, you're not going to sweat, you're not going to exert yourself, and you don't want that. If you are playing a hard game the next day, I wouldn't mind you drinking Gatorade throughout the day prior, because you're building up, content in your muscles for the next day.
That's interesting. So, are there anything on?
But there are better products.
I was going to ask.
We're not sponsored. You're not sponsored by Gatorade.
No, I'm not sponsored by Gatorade. But is there anything on like a sports drink label that maybe a parent could like? There's a lot of different sports drinks out there. Yeah. So is there something that's, hey, watch out for this. If you start seeing this on the label, there's better choices of a sports drink than that. Is there anything that kind of stands out, or is that too open-ended of a question?
You have the food dyes now, which I believe they've become illegal. I think the FDA has approved not allowing them to be in any product anymore, because they found research in Europe all over the world that they are attached to like the mental health and ADHD and like cognitive health and whatnot. And so I would say that's the main one, the food dyes. When you look at the back of the label, like food colorings, like red 5, yellow 6,
Right.
blue, whatever. I would say those are the main ones, but I believe they're going to fade out. You're not going to see them anymore. But it comes down to, again, I would say, as long as they have sodium, it comes down to sodium and potassium. As long as they have some sort of, sodium and potassium, I think Pedialyte, but I believe Pedialyte has a lot of the food dye.
Does it really?
Body Armor, but I don't think Body Armor has a lot of sodium because you need sodium for muscle contraction and potassium as well, right? And you get rid of some sodium when you sweat. But again, unless you're a pitcher and catcher, right? If you're playing first, I wouldn't really recommend you're pounding Gatorade, like the day before.
Right.
So it depends, and that's why we were talking earlier about the different in sports.
Yep.
A lot more demand in football than in baseball.
Yeah.
But these are concepts that every athlete should know.
Yeah. When I coached high school, this was a big thing, and I'm guilty of it. I offered you one before we had the podcast, but energy drinks. So guys working out before they work out, they pound an energy drink before a game. They'll pound an energy drink. Even at high school, kids are coming in with the Bangs or the whatever, all the different companies. And again, I'm very guilty of it. I drink energy drink all the time. Yep. What's your opinion of just energy drinks?
Like I said, they have a time and a place.
They do still have a time and a place. Energy drinks.
They have a time and a place because caffeine is basically, you're looking at caffeine.
Yeah.
Caffeine, there might be other things, taurine and on other supplements within the energy drink, but the most studied supplement in the world is caffeine. And it's a stimulant. It works. It's going to stimulate your brain to have a more reactive time. Higher reactive time. You process things a little bit faster. It works.
Yeah.
There's no doubt in my mind that it works. The problem is that you have to be careful, parents, with these drinks because they're not regulated. And they can be mixed with other components. And you see incidents where kids die because they took 3 bangs in a row or 2 bangs in a row. The kids have died from taking multiple energy drinks because it's the combination not only of the caffeine but other things that are not regulated that maybe I don't even know it exists in that drink because they don't need to be put on the label.
Really?
No, they don't need to be put on the label. But there has been studies that the combination of caffeine and one of the B vitamins, I believe is B6, the combination of those two at a higher dose can have some negatives on the heart. I'm trying to think of which one specifically, but it's a combination of certain things. So that's why, because they're not regulated, I would not consume more than 1 energy drink.
Right.
And I'm not advocating for it because I'm not supposed to tell a 16-year-old to take that.
Right.
This is not legally for me to.
Right.
If you're 18 or above, 1.
Yeah.
Limit to 1. But here's the thing too. It's like any stimulant, right? Your body becomes used to it.
Right.
And you create a tolerability for it. And all of a sudden, it's just, it doesn't do anything. It's just now become part of your daily routine. And it turns into more of a behavioral thing than the stimulant effect.
Right.
Because to get that stimulant effect, you need now a lot more dosage.
Right.
And so what I suggest athletes do is before a big game, I would stay off of energy drinks for the whole week, if you can, because sometimes you're like, you get that because you've started a behavioral pattern that's hard to break, right?
Yeah.
It's just a routine now. I would say wait for the big game. Like it probably works better for a pitcher because you pitch every 5 days or whatnot. Okay, now I'm going to get an hour before. I'm going to get a boost, a stimulant boost, and it works, man.
Right.
But you have other things too that doesn't give you the jitterness, because that's the negative effect of caffeine and these energy drinks is the jitterness.
Right.
And some players don't want to feel jitter, and so you have other. You have other alternatives like alpha GPC, which is like a brain stimulant as well, and it gives you the focus, but without the jitterness.
Interesting.
So there are
other
ways
opportunities
around it.
Yeah, and it's probably same you would give the same answer to pre-workout. I would imagine the same thing, right? Because pre-workout's filled with caffeine, right? I mean, it probably has some other
itchiness,
things.
remember the
So I never got the itchiness, but I had buddies that always had the itchiness.
It's beta-alanine, so it's other that they put it in there to give you that feedback, right? It's like the example of like if you eat good in a day, you're not gonna feel the difference, but if we do 50 push-ups, we will feel the difference.
Yeah.
Is that example? It's the same thing. It's like you take a pre-workout without beta-alanine, you're not gonna feel the difference right away. But with beta-alanine, you're like, you get that itchiness because it's just a side effect of this supplement.
Yeah.
That there is an actual really good protocol with it if you do it right, but you got to take it multiple times in a day, and it's like it has an effect on like buffering, like acid from lactic acid production and like your H protons, which is acidic for your muscles and all that. So it's like it has an effect if you do it right, if you follow the protocol.
Right.
But
most people are not right
for that effect.
Just for the effect.
I'm ready to go. Right. It's the feedback. Man.
Right.
It's what humans who chase that. So yeah, I would say time and a place.
Right.
Make sure you read the label. I would say for all parents and coaches, I would say whenever you're buying a supplement for an athlete, a young athlete, make sure it's third-party tested. I don't care. I'm not gonna sit here and like tell you which one's better than the other. I will say make sure it's third-party tested, either through the USCF or USF, or the other third certification that I can send you, that way you have it to parents. But make sure it's like third party tested.
Are there supplements that you would recommend for young athletes that are good? I mean, through a third party tested, because obviously, but
NSF,
NSF. I mean, are there certain supplements that you say, hey, most kids are deficient in this area? An active athlete, young kid working out. Obviously, I know it individualized. Their diet all plays in part, but as far as like the general, more generic things that you think are safe to, you say, hey, listen.
I would say protein powder. Isolate. Make sure it's isolate because it's more concentrated. It's going to absorb. Hydrolyze is going to be better because it's not going to give you any symptoms in your stomach or anything like that. It's going to absorb a little bit quicker without, the bloatness feeling. Hydrolyze or isolated protein powder, very accessible, very easy to consume. You can throw it in shakes. You can drink one before you go to bed to extend that recovery mode. And then the other one, if you're 18 years or older, which I have to say 18 years or older because there's no research pediatrics-wise before 18, is creatine.
That was going to be one of my questions for you.
Creatine and protein powder, without a doubt, it's a non-negotiable.
Really?
It's like non-negotiable. You can get your protein intake, but it's hard, like it's with the sample diet that I gave you.
Yep.
Well, supplemented with that, at least you're getting something.
Right.
So yeah, I would say those two are non-negotiable. And then now we're looking at vitamin D, I would say.
Okay.
Vitamin D, especially in this part of the country where you don't get sunshine and you're not outside every day. Vitamin D is also turning into a non-negotiable kind of supplement for athletes. Those three. That's a trifecta, a perfect trifecta for me. Protein powder, hydrolyzed, isolated. Creatine, make sure it's third-party tested. NSF for sports. And then creatine.
Vitamin D. Now I will go back to the protein, but the creatine side. What are the benefits of creatine? I mean, like, why is that one of the non-negotiables? I understand the vitamin D, I understand the protein. Yeah. Why creatine?
They're looking into it a lot more now than ever before for even like cognitive performance, because it crosses the blood-brain barrier, where it gives you a cognitive edge. It kind of helps you with the sense of like concentration and whatnot. But also like it's involved in a lot of processes in your body. I mean, your liver makes creatine. The first 6 seconds of any exertion in sports, 5 to 6 seconds, your body uses the pathway of creating energy or converting, the metabolic pathways like oxygen and CO2. But before oxygen and CO2, you can actually produce ATP, which is, I'm really going, I gotta.
That's okay. It's good. No, it's good. Yeah.
your body produces ATP, which is like the end product to be able for you to create like a cell process that gives you movement, gives you energy, right? So the first 6 seconds, your body uses this pathway called creatine phosphate, where you're doing, the cell respirations and all that, the cell processes, without oxygen yet, without glycogen, without fat, which those are the things you use to, convert oxygen to CO2 and to just breathe, right? And to survive. So you need creatine to exert yourself to the maximum. Like that sprint that lasts 4 to 6 seconds, your body's not using anything but creatine phosphate. So in essence, just to give you some, an easier explanation is if you have, saturated levels of creatine in your body, you're going to be able to cycle through that phase a lot easier. You're going to be able to push your body harder. You're going to be able to create maximal force because your body is saturated with this extra thing that produces energy at the cellular level. It's a no-brainer.
Wow.
And it's totally safe. It's, it's legit. You don't have to do a loading phase. Remember, like
I do.
When it first kind of people, you need to do that.
Really?
5 to 10 grams. The heavier you are, we're looking now at, you need, high dose. But in baseball, you don't. I work with 300 pounders.
Right.
So
right.
we gotta go. We gotta really think about that stuff. But
I remember it was when I was younger, when I was playing, which is a long time ago, obviously now. But people always say, well, it just makes you hold on to water weight. It just makes you feel bloated, right? I mean, there's some truth.
There is a component to that.
Some truth to that.
There is
right?
a component. There is a component to that, but it doesn't cause any muscle injuries or anything like that. That was the theory.
Yeah, and then you had to drink so much water in order to take. You were there, if I remember correctly, it was you got to drink a gallon of water a day if you're going to take creatine because it's going to affect your kidneys, and there was all that.
Nope, that has been debunked.
Really?
Already. We're talking. Those are research papers, very vague.
Yeah, it was years ago. I mean,
very vague data from the 80s.
Yeah. Okay.
What you're saying, like the kidneys, that's what they thought, but now they've looked into it.
Right. Yeah. They've done.
This is safe.
Yeah.
It doesn't cause any muscle injuries. It doesn't cause any kidneys injuries.
Wow.
Because they've been able to track people for years.
Right.
Now. So it's like longitudinal now. It's no longer like, well, we don't know if it's going to be because we haven't. People haven't been taking it for that long. Well, we have.
Right.
And so it's totally safe. But the water is a true thing. It drives water into your interstitial fluid, which is like inside the cell. So it helps you stay hydrated.
Back to
that. It helps you retain water so your cells are all swollen, and it helps with that. But some people, like if you're a boxer and you got to make weight,
right,
you don't want to take creatine that week because you're not going to get paid. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So if you're a cyclist, that you're going uphill and it's now becomes power to weight ratio. If you weigh less with more power, you're going to be able to get to the top of the mountain faster. 2 pounds is going to make a difference whether you make it in 10 seconds or not, or whatever, or have enough time to beat the record or whatever it is. So unless you're in one of those sports, it doesn't really matter.
Right.
If you're in a power sport, baseball, I consider baseball a combination, but it is a power sport, especially those certain movements that you do. 100%.
That's interesting. Now, the protein side of it, I was going to ask you, is there 14 to 17-year-old kid looking to put on muscle weight? He knows he needs to take protein. How much protein does his intake need to be daily? And I'll just tell you, so back in, again, this is a long time ago, so this could be totally off.
Yeah.
The rule that was always told to me was a gram of protein for every pound you weigh.
That's still true.
Is that still true?
Still true.
Okay.
Yeah, that's still true. Higher than that, there's really no benefit. But 1 gram per pound is a very, very
standard
that has been proven all this time.
Over time,
yeah. All the time. I would say that, but it's not just protein when it comes to putting muscle mass. Protein allows you to build strong foundation. Going back to what you were saying, what's
what's one thing in nutrition that causes you to not have strong bones, strong ligaments, and that could affect your injury rate in the future? It's the quality of those amino acids. But outside of that, if we're talking weight gain, proteins are made of amino acids. That's why I was talking.
That's why, yeah.
Right. So the higher the quality of protein, the more amino acid, context is going to have, or complexity to it. But you have to hit your calorie goals.
Yeah.
You know, you could take 1,000 grams of protein, but if you're not in a surplus of calories, at the end of the day, you're not going to put on mass, right? So there's a fine balance, right? It's not. So the goal is not eat as much as you can, like, you know, eat whatever you want. It's not that, but it's like, I would say for a young athlete, 14, 16, 17 years old, how many meals a day are you eating? You know what I'm saying? And a lot of athletes, you'd be surprised, I eat 2. You got, it's 4 to 5. Breakfast, snack, lunch, afternoon snack, and dinner. 5. That's a non-negotiable if you're trying to put on weight. Just start there. It's called meal frequency. 5 times you're eating. The snacks could be, again, and now we get into individual, but snacks cannot be chips. If you do chips, please do. But, I don't know, eat some cheese on the side with turkey deli wrapped, so you're getting some protein again and some more calories, right? So that's the kind of thing, is you start there. Breakfast cannot be Pop-Tarts. They can't. They can't. If you don't like eggs in the morning, that's fine. Drink milk in a shake. Have your mom or dad make you a complete shake or whatever. One of those fancy shakes, doesn't matter. Throw some protein powder. But, you know, it's the protein 1 gram per pound, which if you eat 5 times a day, you'll get there easily.
You'll get there.
So you don't even have to think about it, right? But 5 times. You gotta eat 5 times.
What type should they be counting calories as far as like trying to get a surplus? Like, is there a certain amount of surplus? It's just if you get those 5 times, you're gonna be at a surplus.
I wouldn't even go there.
Yeah.
with youth athletes.
Yeah, don't even let them think about it.
Because you get into a rabbit hole, and it's just like, now you got an app.
Right.
I would say when you are really, really serious about it, and you're like internally want to know, man, I wonder how can I quantify how much I'm eating? Mm-hmm. Like the quantification, you get like, when you get really serious, and when you're an athlete, you want to know what you put in your body, right? And when you get to that level of care, let me track and see, am I really eating? Right. That protein is easy to add up because you can look it up.
Right.
You can ask Siri now. Hey, Siri, how much protein is in a cup of chicken? 30 grams. Like you can do it now. You don't even need an app.
Yep.
Right. But I would say learn how to be consistent with your meal patterns.
Right.
And learn how to add protein with every single meal. So going back to the example of the chips.
Yeah. Right.
Chips with
gotta add
yogurt
protein
on
to
the
it.
side.
Right. Yeah. So it's gotta
chocolate
be
milk on the side.
Putting on weight. You're trying to put on muscle mass. You gotta at least get your 5 meals in a day with
start
those
with
snacks.
4. Maybe you're at 2 now. 5 is like, oh my god. But
those snacks in there. Make sure you're trying to get the 1-to-1 ratio of your grams of
1
protein.
gram per pound. Really awesome start.
That's really good. Yeah. So I would say it's safe to say
and stick to wholesome foods as much as possible.
if you can.
Whole food.
Right.
Like the ones
not the processed
rice,
foods, not the
chicken, like, and now you're gonna have to have somebody that prepares that for you a little bit, that you like it.
Yeah.
You're not gonna boil everything and it's gonna be miserable.
Yeah.
But a sub is, a grilled chicken sub,
Yep.
turkey sub, that's a meal.
Absolutely.
It doesn't have to be a sit-down plate.
Yeah.
It can be a sub.
Yeah.
But like, for example, a pizza is not a very good composition. It's mainly fat and carbs.
Yeah.
Right, so now you're like, well, have a chocolate milk whenever you eat pizza. As a youth player, chocolate milk with pizza and then maybe an apple on the side, that's a good meal.
Right. Yeah.
Sorry, but I approve that. That's good to go.
Made a lot of kids happy just now.
You gotta make sure you have what you need in there.
So it's fair to say you would be against intermittent fasting.
If you get technical, I have to get technical because
of course.
This is my profession. You really don't need to do intermittent fasting. What you need to do is give your liver enough time to rest. And research has shown that the liver only needs 12 hours
to rest and recycle things and like let your body heal and, you know, your cells to you know, reprocess and like, you know, kill the old ones, in with the new ones, like just 12 hours. And that's, you know, it's a 24-hour
Right.
day. So if you do the math, it's like, okay, breakfast by 8 and your last meal by 8 p.m. or 7 p.m. done.
Right.
Just do that.
Yeah.
Intermittent fasting is just it gets blown out of the water. But there is a time and a place. I mean,
Right.
if we're trying to change a behavioral pattern,
Right.
we're trying to break the cycle, right? And you, without complicating things, you're like, okay, eat between all your meals between 12 and 7 p.m. I don't care what you eat, just eat 12
Right, right.
Let's start there.
Right.
It's almost like it's a good start
Right.
of like breaking a messed up pattern that you've had for like 20 plus years.
Yeah.
It's a good start.
Yeah, I can see that.
But at the end of the day, technically, you don't need to for your health. There is research on when your body goes hungry, your body kind of like heals itself. Kind of like it wakes up all the mechanisms of like getting rid of old things and rejuvenates itself and whatnot. There's decent research on that, but it's not groundbreaking where you're like, oh my God, I gotta fast for a whole day,
Right.
at least once a week for me to just 12-hour, you know, time for your liver to like. So it's like it's common sense. It's like, don't eat at 1 a.m. What are you doing? Like, you know what I'm saying? Well, you're going downstairs, grabbing a cold pizza. That just throws off the whole.
I can tell you work with college athletes.
Yeah. Exactly. I use that example. And I did it too.
Sure.
Everybody does that.
I'm sleeping at 1 a.m. I'm not grabbing pizza at 1 a.m.
Yeah. So
What about another popular one is a carnivore diet?
Carnivore diet? Yeah, I mean, that's again another one too.
Another kind of.
Another fad.
Yeah, fad, right.
I would definitely go against that.
Yeah.
But again, I would say.
You'd probably be
That
taking
is-
lots of supplements to make up for some of those
Yeah.
things that you're missing, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You got to make sure you do some blood work. Make sure everything lines up. If you want to continue with that, it's going to be hard. I mean,
Yeah.
I think I've heard famous people try it, and they feel great, but it's not sustainable. After
Yep.
6 months, I can't do this again.
Yeah.
And now you don't know long term it's like the creatine. At the beginning, everybody was scared of it. Now, because we're taking it, for such a long time, now we know. But with the carnivore diet, there hasn't been enough years and data collectively to know if it does damage or not. But it goes back to the intermittent fasting it's a good starting point. Like if you're eating like just bad, like, you wake up, you eat pizza when you wake up, like you're bad and you're like, man, I need something this new year that's gonna like revamp my life. I want to switch, I want a 360 switch, turn around. That's a good place to start.
Yeah.
Because now you learn how to be disciplined. You learn how to maybe cook for yourself. You learn maybe you start reading on nutrition a little bit more. You become interested. But then after a month of carnivore, bring back the fruits.
Yep.
Bring back the berries. Bring back maybe, a whole grain here and there, like maybe a sourdough bread, maybe some sort of like, wild rice. Like it doesn't have to be going back to like the old things, but you wanna incorporate some of those things, some vegetables,
Yeah.
because you need those nutrients.
Any structure, even if it's not optimal, is better than no structure, right?
Exactly. I'm all for it. I'm all for it. It's a starting point for you to make a life change.
That's good.
But I would not recommend any of those things for athletes. This would be more so for people that are trying to change their lives around nutrition, taking care of their bodies. They want to live a long, healthy life. They want to be there for their grandkids or their kids, and they want to be able to move at 70. They want to be able to, you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
They want to have freedom and all that.
Yep.
If it's that, yeah, absolutely. But for an athlete, it's a whole different
thing.
Whole different
Yeah. A couple more, and then we'll wrap it up. But sleep. How important is sleep patterns? Especially, I know you did again. I was joking about it, but you deal with college athletes. But let's just say in general, right? Sleep patterns for athletes to perform at the highest level. How important is that?
It's the number one thing.
Is it?
Forget it. If you can get your nutrition right, you can get your strength and conditioning right. If you don't get, your sleep, it just and neglects everything else.
Really?
And they're doing studies now that your growth, this is more technical because I think people should know, from 10 a.m. to around 2 a.m., your growth hormone, which is a very, high recovery hormone for your muscles, your growth and everything, growth hormone, we all have it, is at the peak during that window when you're sleeping. It's at the peak.
10 p.m. 10 p.m.
10 p.m. to 2 a.m. So get your butt to bed by 10. And that's what I tell my guys. It's like, go to bed early. Because that's a window that you can maximize recovery. And it only happens during that. After 2, that's it. It kind of starts diminishing. And so those, and as we age, when we go past that, that time, you feel it the next day, right? It's just the more you what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
And when you're young, you don't get, I feel great.
Yeah.
And it's like, but you're doing more damage than good. So that's one. And then the other one is the whole focus thing too, right? I mean, your reaction time is less than optimal. Your body really didn't take advantage of these processes that happen when you're sleeping outside of that window. But there are other things too where your body's just resting. Your muscles aren't doing anything. Everything is rejuvenating. Everything is working. Everything is just kind of like, working its magic outside even this window. But that window is very important from 10 p.m. to 2 a.m.
Wow. That's
so
really good.
It's huge, man.
So, I mean, even just, that's because you coach travel, right?
Yep.
And going on trips, right? The kids are staying at hotels, got a big tournament the next day, doubleheader, sometimes triple header if it's a Sunday, playoff runs, just from their performance standpoint. I know parents always say it to their kids, but, kids don't really understand the value of making sure you get a good night's sleep, getting to bed early, could really truly help your performance, obviously, the next day.
100%. And I think, I don't want to say this, but try it,
Right.
Try it and see. I mean, it's one thing. Try it.
Right.
Go to bed at 2 a.m. and then the next game, go to bed at 10. Which one did you feel better?
Right.
You're going to find out for yourself. It's that gratification when kids hear from other people. I don't care who those people are, if they're grandparents, they're not going to listen.
Yep.
They're not going to listen, man. Do it.
Yeah, see what happens.
Do it. Play dehydrated.
Yeah.
Do it. See how and then play hydrated and see which ones you like, what state you like best.
Right.
And that's the best way for them to learn. I'm not advocating for that, but I think, the hotels it's obviously, if you're an athlete and you're listening to this, I mean, and you care about your performance and you learn about this window from 10 to 2 a.m. where you're gonna give your body an advantage of recovery. Come on, man.
Yeah, it's a no-brainer.
It's a non-negotiable.
Right.
It's a non-negotiable.
Yeah, it's like in the micro, it's gonna help you the next day, just be more alert and more focused. But in the macro, it's gonna be helping your development overall over the course of the year, stacked up.
Yeah, stacked up, exactly. And sometimes, you deal with adversity, and sometimes you get late. There was a delay, and things happen.
Sure.
And that's when nutrition becomes the second most important thing. Because if you also miss your first meal of the day or your breakfast before that early game, you're really screwed.
Yeah.
Because once, for other circumstances, you couldn't really sleep, right, like we normally should, take advantage of the growth hormone, take advantage of recovery and all that. You couldn't help it, it's life, right?
Yeah.
But you also wake up and you just eat an apple and a water and then go play a game. It's not going to help you.
Yeah.
So that's when nutrition is like, okay, at least let me get this, let me wake up, let me get, get some bananas, let me get some eggs, let me get some, maybe a bacon, let me get some juice, let me get, just a normal, wholesome meal. We're not talking about anything healthy. I honestly, I don't really use that word a whole lot.
Healthy, really?
Never. Like ever since I understood, like, this nutrition science, I don't want to use the word healthy. Because we've put healthy in a pedestal of impossible, like we can't reach it. Where 100 years ago, you didn't even have to think about it because the way we ate was different, more natural. We ate from things that came from the ground. We knew the butcher, we knew the farmer. We ate normal, I call it normal human food, right? Eggs, rice, bacon, butter, homemade bread, chicken, pork. That's considered nowadays healthy, if you think about it. So I never use it nowadays. So that's when I talk to people about nutrition in general, outside of sports nutrition, like we are now, it's stick to wholesome foods. You don't have to be fancy with it. You don't have to eat quinoa. You know, like you don't have to, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like I'm not gonna sit here and say, well, you gotta incorporate quinoa, you gotta incorporate, salmon from Antarctica. Like we're not gonna sit here and talk about that because it misses the whole point. We're going back to, and I'm trying to change that, whenever I talk to people about nutrition, I'm trying to change their mindset of how they think about it.
Yeah.
So, it clicks and like, okay, I don't need to make it hard.
Right.
You're not competing where it becomes hard.
Right.
You want to live a healthier life.
Not overcomplicating it.
Don't overcomplicate it.
That's good. Well, I think I normally give the guests an opportunity to end with if you have any sort of advice or anything you want to say to people as far as just like, and it could be any advice. It could be about nutrition. It could be about baseball. Obviously, you have a lot of expertise in different areas.
Yeah.
I just always kind of open it up for kind of a closing, maybe word of advice for people that might be listening.
Yeah, I would say. I know we've started talking in this podcast about my personal journey and how I had to deal with some adversity coming from baseball. That didn't work out. Figuring out, the plan B and making that work. I think, being okay with failing at something, and embracing that. And I think failure is a necessity to be able to grow as a human being. And for whatever reason, it could be failure because it didn't work out naturally or whatever. In my case, kind of an injury and circumstances, whatever. But I think I would say not being afraid of going outside your comfort zone and seeking, I don't want to say failure, but the possibility of failing. And if you fail, I'm sure you learn from that. I guarantee you're going to grow from it.
That's really good.
And I think that's what I would tell anyone.
That's really good. It's like, they always say, be comfortable with being uncomfortable, right?
Yeah. Right?
Famous
phrase in any sport. Right?
But it's really good advice. Yeah, thank you, man. Thank
Absolutely.
you for being here. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
if you've made it to the end of this podcast, 2 separate rooms, we appreciate it. Thank you for sticking it out with us. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment if you want to leave a comment. We appreciate that as well. And until next time, God bless.
Thank you so much for watching this full podcast. If you'd like to watch more content with this guest, feel free to click right here. And if you want to watch another one of our podcasts, click right here.